You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right. We are live. Thank you for joining us. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. Super excited to be here tonight. It was great to be on the show beforehand. If you were listening to 94.9 or 950 on the AM dial, American Advocates is the show that we were just on.
American Adversaries.
Thank you. And I was looking around for the word, and I'm just very thankful. I've been listening to these guys on the way in, and as we cross paths and everything. I love the book that he wrote too as well, with politics and wrestling, and I love the combo of that. I don't know why I'm so interested, but just great topics, and talking about what's happening now in politics, a little bit of what we talk about on our show as it relates to contractors here in Florida and as consumers, as both of those kind of run hand to hand, as contractors only as strong as consumer rights here in the state of Florida, as we help assist homeowners in their time of need and after a major storm or hurricane, when many of the times insurance proceeds are available. And so many of folks here in Florida have had issues on actually being able to get reimbursed for their damages. And as we've talked about on the show, Hans, and we've brought this up several times in the paper, it even called them out, the insurance companies, the property insurance companies, of showing that out of the several hundred, let's say 300 to 400, 500 insurance companies here in the state of Florida, that the top 10, the top 15 insurance companies were denying more than 50% of all claims filed. Citizens being as top 77%, People's Distrust at 76%, all the way down. And yes, the big guys like State Farm, Allsnake, all these guys are also included in that. And so that's just a disgustingly high number for how they treated folks after Hurricane Milton and Helene, which is the storms right after all the significant law changes. And Hans, we're so frustrated over that, and we looked at over all of these bills and such, and at no place, and out of all of these law changes that reduced all of the power that homeowners have in the attorney's fees, they used to be able to hire you guys and not have to pay any fees if the insurance company was proven that they were wrong. Then since 1893, I believe, the state of Florida has said in the Supreme Court case law that the insurance companies will pay for fees and costs if they were proved wrong in a dispute. And today, we don't have that. And they've proven to be even more evil than anything, because in today's world where they removed attorney's fees and costs, or they made up all this fake noise about, oh man, we're going to have to raise rates and we're going to have to do all this, and all that just to make smoke signals so they can make change in the legislation. Then our governor was handed $100 million from the broke insurance lobby, I guess not so broke, to run for president in exchange for making these sweeping law changes, which he did at the end of 2022 via 2 special sessions and then a major session in 2023, which is the death nail bill, which removed all of the attorney's fees for homeowners. So in case of a dispute now, the insurance company's worst day is when litigation is final 2, 3, 4 years down the road, however long the consumer can stomach it. At their worst day, the insurance company is going to pay what they should have paid on day one, and that's it, no more. And that's just such. When you think about it that way, that's just a disgusting waste of time for a consumer that's been drugged through the dirt. We used to have bad faith that would run concurrently with it, that would bring a multiple of 3 times the amount as a penalty that would get paid straight to the insured. Yep. If the insurance company was found to be in bad faith. It's not like this just random fee that you would pay the state and nobody would get the benefit of it. Bad faith would say if you were slow walked by the insurance company and not paid in a timely fashion, as the statute stated, then you would get a multiple of bad faith money on top of what you got, what you would receive in indemnity, and you would get your attorney's fees paid separately, Hans. And so frustrating in today's market where we don't have that, and it did make a chilling effect here in the market as far as how many people are filing claims versus before, when there wasn't that chilling effect, when most people, when they have a loss, if it supersedes their deductible, you file a claim. That's why you have insurance. Makes a lot of sense that way, right?
I mean, it's funny when you think about it, going back to kind of the beginning of your comments. If you had a business that took in money, and when people sent you an invoice, which really is what insureds do, they send you an invoice for work they had to perform, you could take their money at the front end and just go, no, to half or more. Like, if you think about that conceptually, like if you ran a business,
it's not only no, but no, fight me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you think about the idea that every month Brad's business takes in, if they have folks on a maintenance plan, our guest tonight from the Drain Daddy Plumbing, if you took in their money every month for maintenance, right, which is kind of the same thing, like it's like insurance, and then they call you and go, "Hey, you need to come out and fix the toilet." No, and you just said no, and they're like, "Well, I've been paying you." I don't care. I'm not coming to fix your toilet.
Right. And I don't feel like it today.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
Because that's like because a maintenance plan like that is like insurance, right? Anything you pay monthly to gain a benefit,
a subscription fee, so to speak.
Yeah, whatever you want to characterize as a premium, like an insurance policy. And the guy you give money to every month just goes no, and you know what? You still have to pay me. Because if you don't pay me, I'm going to shut down your toilet.
Yeah.
Just like the insurance company would say, well, we're not going to pay, but what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to pay you our premiums. You have to. Why? Because the law says you do, and your mortgage company requires you to do so. So wait. So I have to pay every month. They get to say no, and I have to still pay them, or you'll take more money from me to hire someone else who will provide essentially less service than the plumber will.
Right. And it's it was like a several prong attack, though. I mean, not only do we see these sweeping law changes that really binds the hands of consumers, but they effectively got rid of the assignment of benefit contractors, the ones that would do the work for you up front, bill your insurance company and get paid later, as you would when you go to the doctor's office, chiropractor, you go get your windshield replaced.
Now, the difference, though, now keep this in mind. When you go to the doctor's office and you sign an assignment of benefits, if for some reason the insurer doesn't pay, you still got to pay. Like, you know, the doctor, right? They don't just go, hey, we tried the insurance. They said no. Good luck. You know, thanks for getting the free service. You got to pay. Health insurance doesn't go away. But in the business we had before over those years, when you took that assignment of benefits from the insured, you, Richie, as the contractor, took on the risk of payment. If you didn't get paid for some weird policy reason, you never billed the insured. You had to eat the bill.
Right. Well, the statute changed in 2019. It was common law before that. There was no, it was only case law that guided the assignment of benefit and property, and it was across the board, like it is in windshield. That's not a free service. It is free when somebody comes out and replaces my windshield because I don't pay anything, but I sure do sign a paper, right? And that's an assignment of benefit that you're assigning that benefit for the work and services they perform, and they can bill directly to your windshield carrier, right?
Right.
And in this case, and I still am just beside myself on why they took that right away from them. I mean, it's a dollars and cents thing for the insurance company, but not good for the consumer.
Right, and the assignment benefits is what we call a common law thing, which means when they landed at Plymouth Rock, whenever they got here first from purposes of England, common law is what was the law in England at the time, and unless you change that by statute or something else, the common law case law still persists. And the assignment of benefits literally goes back, I don't know how many hundreds of years, where someone would take on the debt of another to go collect it. And that's what assignment benefits was. And the assignment benefits was a perfect vehicle because it took, but basically, who's the insurer want to deal with more? You as a contractor or my mom? Well, they'd love to deal with my mom because she's going to go, oh, you don't pay that? Oh, okay. And you're not going to get, no, we're not going to pay. Oh, okay. And they say, okay. And then they go to their savings account or their piggy bank or their kid's college fund, and they pay the money to get the service, where you as a contractor are going to come in and go, whoa. You got to pay that. And the insurer goes, no, we don't. And you go, oh, yeah, you do. And then they go, well, maybe we do. Because what the insurer wants is a lack of sophistication. Their best person is someone that doesn't know what to do.
That's right.
As opposed to you guys, both of you guys, plumbing,
uneducated,
engineering,
unexperienced, in homeowners, like I would say, that don't know their rights. And in those cases, like in medical insurance, most of the time, like when I remember when I used to go every now and then, if I did have to go and they didn't cover something, I would get a letter in the mail there would be numbers, but it would say, this is not a bill. it was notifying me that they were about to sue my insurer due to lack of payment, short payment, non-payment, or such, because they stepped in my shoes, right? As the insured, and they have the right. Look, I have the right, rather, as a consumer, because I bought the policy to the healthcare company. In this case, I bought the contract, and now it's my contract with my property insurance, and so I am the consumer. I am the one that would be able to do so, and the assignee then steps in my shoes of the insured, so they have the same rights as I. Now, in 2019, they put a statute around it and said, okay, we'll allow these property insurance ones, but here's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do to have a valid assignment. If it's not, then it could be unenforceable and invalid. And so the contractors had to conform to that, and we had to educate the homeowners, and we would. Many times I did. We had 1,000 AOBs signed every single month for years and years. And so we gave everyone the opportunity. We said, this is how much it is in cash, just like when you go to your doctor's office. How much is this cash? Well, it's going to be this much. Okay, well, you have that option, or if you have insurance, then we can bill directly to your insurance company, and we'll go ahead and perform the services now. And the statute even put in there, you have a line item per unit cost estimate included in the AOB, or dated the same date as the invoices to AOB, and it's valid. And so the homeowner had full recognition of what you were charging their insurer, and they fully agreed to do so. And so why we continue to push that in insurance companies, then we're getting so greedy that, like you said, Hans, they want non-educated folks, non-experienced folks to be able to be in charge, because they don't know, just like the papers say. When you took all the contractors out and we had another storm, what happened? 50%, 70 to 77% of all the claims were being denied by all the big guys, because they know, they do the homework. They know if you're a consumer, unrepresented consumer, only 10 to 20% of the time are you actually doing anything about a denial. Those are low numbers. 10% of all the folks that were denied, millions of folks were denied. And so how many of them actually did something about it? And how many people just took it on the chin and said, well, we tried? Well,
I know, look at the letter these days, and a lot of times they will perhaps open coverage, but it'll be under the deductible. And the letters always have this heartfelt tone of, oh, our obligation is to try to find a way to pay you. Ken always says that in a letter. We have an obligation to serve our insured and try to find a way of payment. And we really tried. We just couldn't find one. And I think people who still want to believe, it's a little bit like engineering. You want to believe your insurer. You want somebody you pay that kind of money to, you want to believe that they tried to do the best for you, because they're the last point of defense. You got a busted up house for whatever reason, you don't have the money. Your only recourse is insurance or nothing. So if they say, we tried but we couldn't help you, people just tend to accept that because they fundamentally believe that the insurer should be there to step in and help them. To me, it's like in engineering. We all want to, even though the insurer has so many bought and paid for engineers, people still believe it, because fundamentally you want to believe an engineer because you drive a bridge that was signed off by an engineer. You drive a car signed off by an engineer. You have a house that was signed off by an engineer. If you don't believe in engineering, your world comes apart, because everything you believe in is suddenly not safe. And so people read these engineering reports these insurance companies buy, and they go, well, the engineer said it's not their fault.
Yeah, my new favorite one is we live in the state of Florida. It's literally called the Sunshine State, and they'll come up with fancy words, and all these ones that start with thermal.
Yes.
And first, for years and years, it was like, well, your roof's broke due to the thermal expansion
and contraction.
And I'm like, so explain this to me, how hardened concrete is going to expand and contract on a daily basis in our weather here in the state of Florida.
So much that it cracks.
Wow, that's amazing.
On the roof. That doesn't make me think about exactly that. So it expands during daylight and it contracts during the night. I remember asking an engineer, I said, how much are we talking here? Like an inch every night? Like my roof like my roof is breathing? He's like, oh no.
Like lungs?
No,
it's just like,
no. Yeah, I know, at nighttime you're like, oh, you're snoring here.
Let me turn my attic fan off. I don't want to expand or contract my roof right now.
And I go, well, okay, so is it, how about half an inch? Oh, no. Quarter inch? No. Eighth of an inch? No. 16th? No. 32nd? 64. And I went to like 128. I'm like, how about 128? He's like, no, it's less than that. I'm like, okay, so how does the world, which rotates on a 24-hour cycle of 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness, crack my tile?
Right. It apparently we're spinning too fast, and it's creating inaccuracies.
Well, what about the engineer that designed the roof shingle? Why doesn't he fight with the engineer from the insurance company?
That's because
when you give somebody a 30-year roof, and then some other engineer comes out and says, "Oh no, your roof can't be insured." Somebody,
they're using factors.
That's why we have Brad on.
Well, they're using factors outside of their control, right? And I did the air quotes because the next one they talk about is thermal radiation broke the roof. And this is really the head scratcher. And I'm going, wait. I mean, most of the manufacturers are here in Florida, right? That sell shingle and concrete tile here in the state of Florida, in the Sunshine State. So that's a fancy word for saying the sunshine broke your roof. Thermal radiation is sunshine.
It would be.
And I'm scratching my head going, are you kidding me right now? And now they took it a step further, because sometimes if there's cracks in your actual block and from a lot of movement from wind and such like that, and it accelerated a movement in your building, and very well it could have been from a heavy windstorm. But no, the new defense is it's thermal movement. Thermal soil movement is what created the cracks in your building. So it's not covered. Again, the sun does so much damage in the Sunshine State.
It is. That's true. It's true. But anywhere with the word thermal is ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't picked up anything from this conversation so far, if you see the word thermal, they're lying. They said that we're going to send an engineer out. He's going to deny your claim. And if you see the word thermal, that means the sun has broken your roof, right. and the freezing nights.
Your fault.
Yes, and so we can't pay you. We can't find coverage for your loss because you live in a place with sun. Now, there was a thing called an ice age about 1 million years ago and killed everything on the planet because you couldn't see the sun because of allegedly some sort of volcanic eruption or some meteor that hit the earth. But then the roofs were fine. Not that anyone had any roofs. Right. But if you had a roof in the ice age, they wouldn't have any thermal complaints.
Go back to the old
thatched,
it'd be freezing.
It wouldn't be thermal. That would be what would be the word for ice. Well, the ice broke your roof, and it's your fault.
Right.
Frozen roof syndrome. Huh?
There you go.
That's a bad thing. The anti-existence. But you almost need a roof for your roof, apparently, in here in Florida, so to shade it or protect it from all the thermal rays. But so many times there's so many of these examples, and you've seen many of the reports. So like I've seen my competitors' reports, and I've spoke to some of those guys that have gotten an engineer report. We call them ICE reports, Insurance Carrier Expert Report, and I was talking to this one guy because I own Air Quality Assessors, an indoor quality company, an engineering firm in the forensic side, and we were doing all these inspections for folks, helping them get coverage for their home in a way as an expert of by delineating what was damaged from wind, what was damaged from flood, maybe, or or could this functionally have been damaged from wind from this specific date of loss, yes or no. That's a tool to help out the homeowner, help lawyers, help public adjusters, help homeowners convert hopefully into some coverage situation, as the insurance companies use those folks to deny coverage. And so they'll say, we didn't do it, the expert did it. And so they'll use a snippet and say wear and tear and such like that. I have this homeowner that says, well, I don't know, I got your report, man, and it makes a lot of sense. And I don't know why I'm talking in a country accent. He was a country guy, but anyway, so I just all of a sudden go to that. That's my default. And so he says, this report looks really good. The one that I just got from the insurance company. I said, whoa, hold on. Let me go ahead and tell you what it's going to say. It's going to tell you all about your house. It's going to be very pretty. It's going to have pictures and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to look really good. And on the conclusion part, that's where it's going to be the death knell. That's where it's going to say that although there is damage attributed to the roof, the exterior finishings, the windows, such like that, they're going to talk about thermal expansion. They're going to talk about other denials like such wear and tear, foot traffic, and such like that. And he goes, all right, let me start reading this. He literally started reading what I was saying off of the denial letter and off of the excerpts in the conclusion from the ICE report. And so that's how this is how they deny people. I'm sure they do it. You also work in medical on the plaintiff side, right? For chiropractors and folks.
I do.
And I imagine that's very, very similar.
Yeah, it's not medically necessary, not reasonable under the conditions. All the same words. The guys who do what they call IMEs, independent medical exams, on behalf of of the insurer who are not independent. I mean, that is the great fallacy in this world, is that doctors who do reports only for insurance companies are called independent. And insurance adjusters who work only for insurance companies are called by statute independent.
Independent adjusters.
And they're literally the least independent
Far
people
from
on the planet.
it.
But yeah, the IME guys would write the same thing. It's not reasonable, not necessary, not within the standard of care within the community. Essentially thermal expansion and contraction, but just in medical terms.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, and we have a guest for you that is not a how I was going to say not a
no stranger to
there we
something.
go. That's exactly what I was going to say. No stranger to our show here.
There you go.
On Contractor Talk, the Drain Daddy. What's going on, Brad?
I'm doing well. Good evening.
Thank you. And Hans, this is exactly why you're here on the show, man. Because it's like I cannot do this without you. Even the introductions, man. I mean, I get all wound up with our topics, and but Brad, man, I mean, were you in today's world, and that's what Contractor Talk, sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, kind of advocates for, is the contractor consumer kind of jiving with each other, having the right basis of contracts. You did some insurance work, but it was too much of a nightmare for you to have to deal with that, is that right?
Yeah, it's nearly impossible. One of the things that I've had the pleasure of chatting with Hans about is the inner workings of how that is supposed to work. It's really surprising that folks that deal with this water as the first responder have really no recourse or no pathway to really educate the homeowner or guarantee coverage or even understand the minutia of the insurance industry, to the point where we fix the leak and we try to refer somebody and hope.
And you have to get paid now, and you have to say, hey, man, even though it's covered under your policy, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take your money now. Yeah. Take my receipt, and maybe you'll get reimbursed. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of like what it is now.
It's really sad. I really wish that we were in a position to do more or advocate more on the homeowner's behalf, but you almost have to have a separate department. I think we mentioned this last time, where if I really wanted to specialize in doing the best I could for homeowners, it would open us up for liability as a company, even if we had a specialized department where we could understand these policies a little bit better. Because even if it says you may be covered, then push comes to shove. At the end of the day, you get that warm, heartfelt denial letter in the mail, and now we're on the hook for doing the dry out or water extraction, or trying to do anything more than just let's show up, fix the leak, vacuum up the water that we can see, call a restoration company out, and hope that everything goes right for the homeowner, which unfortunately, like you said, 90%, 70%, right, it doesn't work in their benefit.
No, it doesn't. And many times, if you don't know either that you have to, most of the time, to get covered under a policy of insurance on a broken pipe, you have to keep the pipe, keep the broken pipe for the adjuster. And many people don't know that.
We take photos, we add that to the client profile, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to give you everything that I can, and you're going to have to go do with that information and that documentation what you will. We wish you the best of luck. It's like, hey, run off and go fight this battle. I hope that you win, but I can't fight with you, unfortunately, because And that's bad. I mean, because most of the time contractors want to advocate for the homeowners. They want to be there as again. I mean, our contractor rights are only as strong as consumer rights, and so we want to be an advocate for the homeowner. So they do get paid, and they get back to a pre-loss condition. It's not their fault. That's why they're called accidents, pipe bust and breaks and accidental things that we have a policy of insurance that protects us for. Of course,
I mean,
but does it these days?
That's the question.
You would assume that if you have to hire an attorney to fight this huge corporation, that if they admit it, like you said, if they admit fault or if they are found to be wrong, that you shouldn't have to come out of pocket to pay the person that helps you fight to prove them wrong in the beginning.
Right. And you almost have to have an attorney just to understand what is covered under your policy, what's excluded, what's limited, what's capped. And many times Hans has reportedly done that, even here, right here on the show. Here's my cell phone number. Send me your policy. And he'll have people text him policies and say, is this good or bad? Who should I go with? How do they do that nowadays, Hans?
Through my cell phone, which is always available, 407-782-0258 or KennonLaw.com.
And these are for on the forefront. I have a policy of insurance. What am I covered for? Hurricane season is still a year away. Now's the time to shop, right? So do I have a good policy of insurance? It's not a bad question for you.
No, and one thing you need to do is understand the age of your roof is going to impact your ability to find new coverage.
All right, we'll take a break and some thanks to our sponsor. We'll be right back. All right, we're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. And we also stream. We're on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream. And we're also on YouTube as well. A few days later, we'll produce the show here that we do every Monday night. So you do get a weekly show. Brad, your face is going to be streaming here on YouTube. You want to check us out. And Hans' Dapper Suit of the Week. You definitely don't want to miss that. There's the zoom in. And all those special effects will be added later and put on our YouTube page. So like us, subscribe us there, subscribe us on there. And I believe there's, so many subscribers, then you can go live. I think we've already hit that, a minimum subscribers. So one of these days, we're going to figure that out. I don't know what that means on going live on YouTube, but I'm sure that's amazing.
I'm sure it's great. I think the guys before us actually do that somehow. I think they're live on Rumble. They called it.
All right, so
one of them. I don't know.
So I don't do much social media, but is Rumble a type of like thread or something, or some sort of social media thing?
I think Rumble is like the new uncensored. You remember when YouTube first came out? It was completely uncensored.
Yeah.
You could
so YouTube videos and photos and stuff, or is it all videos?
Well, no. Remember originally, like most platforms start out, they're kind of unhinged. There's no censorship. That's what gets all the people there, and then they slowly, corporate America starts taking over. Like, oh, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't say this, and then you get canceled and all. So
that's what happened to Facebook to me. That's why I don't go on.
Yeah, Rumble's kind of the new guy that's saying, hey, if you want to be edgy and you want to be controversial and you want to talk about things that are not PC and you're getting threatened to be banned on your platform, come on over to Rumble.
There you go.
And we'll let you kind of do it. It's kind of like the Reddit of video formatting.
Yeah. So it is all video similar to like YouTube?
Similar to YouTube.
Yeah,
I'm not super familiar with Rumble, but
they have a couple of cameras. That's their camera. They have a couple of cameras.
Yeah, we got to figure that out, man. I'm down to Rumble.
Jeff, I bet you Jeff knows.
I feel like it's a lot more open as far as the dialogue and the things that you can do and say on there, as opposed to YouTube is now purchased by, I believe, Meta or Facebook now runs Instagram, Facebook, and they have a PC way of doing things, and people can get banned pretty quickly.
Right? Don't I know? And so that would be interesting.
What do you do? I'm
is that why you're not on social media? You're not too familiar?
Yeah, I mean, I was tired of getting kicked off and put in jail during COVID stuff. And just for telling the truth, I mean, when you teach OSHA courses and you talk about particle sizes and different PPE and such that I train everybody every month on, and I'm just scratching my head going, are you really telling everybody to use like a PPE just 2 weeks, no problem, that'll stop the spread, turned into 2 years? And I mean, I'm not gonna like just sit there and be like, oh yeah, that's totally right, sit there and control me. No, I mean, I was like, that's ridiculous. If I was really worried about particle size of 0.002 to 0.001 in micron size, I'd have to wear a full mask with P100 cartridges to be able to filter that. N95 is literally 95% all particles of a trapping of all particles over 1 micron, which is mold and bigger, right? But viral particles, anyways. And so I would test inside of people's masks with ATP meters. It'd be well off the chart. And I'm like, people get their restaurants shut down for like a score of like 50. This is over 1,000. Your mask is disgusting.
Don't test the plumber. Please don't.
All of a sudden, here's our next noise. Well, what happened? We're off the air.
We tested the plumber.
Don't bring it up.
Yeah, no, I'm way too opinionated for corporate America type of social media. So
you're not a conformist? You mean you're not going to fall in line with the narrative?
No, I'm not in a box. I'm not in a category. I'm me.
Me neither. We belong on Rumble together.
Let's do it.
I question everything.
I do.
It shows a healthy curiosity.
Well, I mean, look, everything around us is designed to take from you. It's all bait and switch. I mean, most of the stuff that you guys talk about with insurance, the one thing that people are taught to really trust in is insurance. You need car insurance. You want life insurance. You get insurance on your cell phone. Insurance for those times when something happens. You're supposed to be able to rely on it.
You think you're in good hands.
Yeah,
I mean, you really do. You think you have a good neighbor and you're protected and you feel good about your asset. And man, what a false feeling. While the executives are getting paid, look at Slide Insurance. The main CEO and his wife together make $1 million a week off the backs of their policyholders. I mean, that's just an astonishing $50 million a year right? I mean, maybe they don't get 2 weeks of month pay, but either way, but $1 million a week. Can you imagine that? That's just my salary. She was quoted somewhere out or was seen somewhere out purse shopping with like just a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's great. You got the money. Let's go shopping. But off the backs of insurers,
while you know that there's people that pay your policy that don't have floors in their house, that have water damage in their walls, that have to sleep with their kids at night knowing that the roof is leaking. Like, it blows my mind that people can justify that sort of lifestyle, and they know, that those people know in the back of their head that off the back of the people that now are sleeping in a hotel that they're not paying for, right? Or don't have furniture in their house, or their indoor air quality is garbage because the insurance company hasn't shown up. I have a customer right now that we just put in a temporary laundry tub in their kitchen because their kitchen flooded 3 months ago, and they still can't get an answer from their insurance company.
What?
Yeah, we gave a quote 2 weeks ago to replace a water heater in a garage that caught fire. And the homeowner has been out of their house for 3.5 months, and the insurance agent literally showed up to the house 2 days before I was there to do a quote. And I said, "What have you guys been doing?" They're like, "We've been living in a hotel." Luckily, they have the funds to do it.
Sure.
But it took 3 months for the adjuster to even step foot on the property.
They have to acknowledge a claim in 7 days, actually.
Right. They have to physically inspect within 7 days.
Yeah.
And
you go 3 months. That's
wild.
Yeah, with smoke damage.
And fire.
And a fire inside the garage.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing that a homeowner's policy covers without question, it's fire.
You would think so.
I mean, fire's the one
covering
thing.
it and properly paying for it and such. Like, I have a friend, she's an engineer friend of mine that lives close to me in my neighborhood in the Sweetwater area, and her house burnt down. It's now been 3 years, and she is just now moving back into her home. She had to buy another home or rent out another space during this time because it was a debacle. She had people's distrust, and in that policy, they have managed care, and it is horrible. It is like getting Medicare while paying for full service insurance, and then you get that, and you're like, So
actually,
I got to use this vendor.
You're getting Medicaid.
Yeah. It's bad. And so that it not only delay, but to the contractor, check this out. One of the contractors that they put them on ran away with their final payment. They had to sue them, and they even had to make all these formal complaints with DBPR and all that. Then they sued the insurer for bringing them in, and then once they so they had to like pause while all that was going on, and that was one of their vendors, and I'm just like, wow.
Same. We ran into an insurance company paid a homeowner to do a repipe on their house, which is very rare. I've only heard of that a few times in my career. And the company that the insurance company paid never pulled a permit. And so when the home went up for sale, we got the phone call, "Hey, would you be willing to do a pressure affidavit on this?" I said, "Absolutely not." So you need to trace down that contractor and have them pull a permit retroactively. But I was dumbfounded that it went through an insurance company. The insurance company hired the plumbing company to do the plumb, and nobody pulled a permit, which is now holding up a real estate transaction.
So in that case, under your typical HO3 policy, there is a right to repair, which is a provision that allows the insurer to take on the responsibility for the repair of your home. One thing just to know about that is whatever your limits are, once they elect the right to repair and they're in charge of reconstruction, there is no policy limit anymore. So if anything bad happens, they burn your house down, whatever, you are no longer governed by the policy limits.
Good.
But you really don't want them to elect the right to repair, because then you're stuck with their contractor.
And that's the give, right? I mean, is okay, you want it done and you want little out of pocket, little liability as a homeowner. You're like, okay, fine, this is what I signed up for in my policy, and I have all this stuff, and your contractors are going to repair all this. It sounds good. It's almost too good to be true. And you know what they say about that? Well, it usually is.
If I may jump in real quick, one thing that State Farm used to do, they had a managed care program like you're talking about, where they elect the right to repair. What they would want you to do is they'd want the insured to sign the contract with their chosen contractor. State Farm didn't want to sign the contract, so that way if something went wrong, and a guy this happened to, State Farm said, "Well, you signed the contract," and the guy goes, You sent them to me.
Right.
You sent them to my home, and
They
you said,
still do that today.
you
In
said
that
I have to-
situation with my friend, they sent this contractor out. She signed directly with the contractor, half the work, and ran away with the rest of the money.
Preferred vendor, right?
Yeah, preferred.
You have to use our preferred vendor.
vetted and approved. And I had a situation. I told State Farm later with a different case. I said, my guy's not signing. Well, he has to. We're electing to repair. You are electing to repair, so you sign since you're electing to repair. We had a big fight about it, and eventually they acquiesced. But I said, no way is my guy signing.
They got on a horse?
They did. They got on their high horse, goddammit. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that.
Get 'em.
But that was it, though.
We're headed to Rumble soon.
We'll be good.
Yeah. Why would the insurance company require, if the right to repair falls within the homeowner or the contractor and the insurance company, that's who the deal is really between,
Yes.
especially if they're sending their guy to your house.
Yeah.
You should. Why would you have to sign?
But people don't know, right? So they go. The contractor says, "I'm working for State Farm. You just need to sign a couple of things." People go, "Okay," and then they sign, and then there was a problem, and then State Farm again was just like, "You signed," and I mean, I remember just the outrage of this guy was like, he's like seething. He's like, "You sent him. He came here on basically you vouching for the guy."
Excuse me, sir. Is this your signature right here on the contract?
Right.
Is that your signature? It is.
Does it say State Farm anywhere in this contract? And that's the kind of fight we started to have.
Oh, that would be amazing if he signed it. He said on behalf of State Farm.
Right. Well, Ed Rust, the guy from State Farm.
A lot of homeowners don't even realize that most policies, they used to be, I don't know if anything has changed now, but where you as the homeowner have the right to bring in whatever service providers that you feel comfortable with. And if you call your insurance company first, what's the first thing they tell you? Oh, you can't use any. We have to send our guys out first. And it's like, well, you know what's going to happen as soon as their guys get there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a couple drops of water, no big deal,
Yeah. Well, I've played this game when I was a kid many times, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal today, and that's a monopoly, right? I mean, so we're not playing with monopoly money here, man. We're talking about a real contract that I purchased from you. It says if I have a loss, you're going to cover it. And I don't mean by covering it by getting involved and sending your crappy vendor my way. No, I mean involved by being the bank like you're supposed to. You take my money like a vacuum, you're supposed to spit it right back out when I need it for a claim, not tell me who the hell that I have to hire, right? That's just ridiculous. And then in case of these disputes, who do you go after? It's much cleaner if they just pay it. But a monopoly is handling goods, and literally the definition, handling goods and services from A to Z. It's a federal crime. They're doing it across state lines, so it should be federally punished. You've heard it first here on Contractor Talk, if that ever gets some steam there. We'll get some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back after the break. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. And if you're streaming, sorry, I have to keep saying that I'm coming back, but we really do have some good sponsors. So thank you for holding on for us or coming back through the break and rehearing our rejoin there. So that's for our streamers out there. But keep checking us out, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and of course here live Monday night is how you can hear all about Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org. Great point you brought up on the break, Brad, about this insurance game is just shady. Let's say that. And I think I've heard about these types of policies or bands of folks that have gotten together that provide insurance, like almost self-insurance. Yeah. Much lower rate. I know they're doing it for medical stuff, but I have heard about programs for property. Have you heard anything? I haven't heard much in a while.
I haven't, but I think that we have to come up with a different way of doing it. Letting these giant corporations kind of run the game and put homeowners, neighbors, and family members and friends. Everyone that I talk to has some sort of horror story regarding some insurance issue, and it's like, why can't we as a community figure out a better way to make sure that our neighbors are covered?
Well, and I think your point is how can we self-insure? Is there a way to self-insure? And that's a great question. And Hans, I was just hearing him in his head going, well, I mean, you have to be like an A rating, a minimal or something like that for us to be even passed. How would that even help? Well, I felt the technicality coming out of him.
He's running through the legal jargon in his head.
Well, they have done it for health. There was, I think, a Lutheran fund, as I recall, through maybe Thrivent or one of them, which is a Lutheran mutual fund group, that was trying to do what we call a pooled risk deal for medical, where everyone pays in, and it's a much more kinder and gentler system of pool and risk, because that's all. If you think about
everybody pools, puts in their money.
Yeah.
And say, so if I don't use some this year, and you had a surgery, then you would get that benefit.
Right. But I mean, in theory, when you pay State Farm or Allstate or whoever that may be, it's all just pooled risk based on tables of mortality, tables of property value, all those things. So it's all pooled risk. So if you think about it, the theory is we have an empty swimming pool. We all put a little bit in, and suddenly the pool's full, and that should be enough for everybody. And then what you find is the more entrepreneurial carriers are ways to like slide on the people who pay themselves millions and millions of dollars, because that's actually not illegal to do. Because they're not set up as a mutual. Like you see, the word mutual means you should get money back every once in a while, which you almost never do. State Farm Mutual is owned by the policyholders, and they'll say, well, we can't do that because it's unfair to the policyholder. I'm like, oh, when was the last time you gave any money to the policyholder?
Is the emu supposed to give us money? Yeah. Is that Liberty Mutual?
Who's scooping the water out of our pool?
Well, see,
you're not a flush neighbor. We got our pool full of water here. Stop coming over here and taking buckets.
The idea of having this pooled risk assessment group is that it's not run like a corporation. It's not a for-profit. There's limitations. It's run more like the Salvation Army, where there's some administrative fees and some money paid, but all the money essentially stays for everybody. Where here, the insurance companies are really trying to eke out all the profit they can, all the salary, all the bonus they can. So it's a different thing, because those expenses are what kill the fund. You got a president, a vice president of X, of Y, of Z. They got an assistant vice president. All these people who end up chewing up the bulk of the money that goes in, and then there's like, hey, we're a little light on what's left. You know what we got to do? Rate increase.
Sounds like they're taking a page out of the government's playbook.
Yeah,
where's our tax dollars go?
Yeah, and that's kind of what that is. And so there are companies that are trying to do that. I've not heard of it for property though. I just haven't heard of that being an opportunity for folks to do.
Yeah, and we've talked about who would be good in leadership here in the state of Florida in regards to that, and I think it's still out. I think we don't know yet who is going to be the right candidate when I'm talking about the governor for the state of Florida next year.
It's not really necessarily even a political party. It's just kind of a basic decency. For people who didn't like Jeb Bush. But, we still got paid for our work we did with Jeb Bush, right? I didn't lose any clients. I don't think anyone I know did. He was a Republican, but he was a little more Mitt Romney-ish in the big scheme of what we see these days, a little more of a moderate. So it isn't really necessarily party. Well, I think these days it's much more party-driven by the base. It has to be, you got to get the people at each end, Democratic or Republican, to vote for you, or you can't win the general. So you end up taking positions, I think, that people wouldn't otherwise want to take to galvanize their base for them. And then every time they try to do something that's decent on either side, the base goes, oh no, we're not going to vote for it. They go, okay, I got to.
Yeah, let me fall back in line, right?
Yeah, fall back in line.
It's such a bipartisan issue, and there are so many bipartisan issues that can't get to the finish line because of that exact divisiveness. It's a two-party system where there's a lot of things that we're all kind of in the middle on, but like you said, if you're forced to choose and you stray away from your base even a little bit, now they're going to send you to the wolves.
Right.
But insurance in the state of Florida is kind of one of those issues where these people got to meet in the middle on the aisle and say something here's got to give when we have the highest insurance rates in the country.
Right, we do, and the highest declination rate as well. And the loosest bad faith, no attorney's fees. Where we used to be one of 11 states that had prevailing party attorney's fees in half of the consumer, and so that's still not enough states. Where the rest of them you have to have a bad faith trigger or some sort of action along with it to just get prevailing party attorney's fees. And so it was explained much in a different light from the insurance companies, suggesting that there was one-way attorney's fees, and they even made some BS facts trying to make up something that the attorney took a lot more than what they did from consumers, suggesting that 70% of all the cash that came to from a settlement went to the attorney. And they're saying, like, attorneys and roofers are messing this world up, right? I mean, before that was the restoration contractors. Hence why I got involved in 2014 is because I became an advocate for contractors. Say that's a wrong narrative. That's false. The real narrative is you guys are hiding things, in which we found out finally in the papers that they're overpaying subsidiaries, just so they can show they're under 5% profit while their subsidiaries are busting at the seams, getting paid crazy amounts of money for administrative stuff that they're not regulated on. Right. So, I mean,
they literally intentionally went broke.
Yeah. Well, in the state of Florida, right, we probably have the highest concentration of elderly folks in the entire country, right? And to understand that all of our stuff gets denied, like insurance claims get denied here probably on a magnitude greater than most other states in the United States is kind of crazy, because there's laws specifically in place to protect the elderly. But the insurance companies have a workaround, because now contractors can't advocate on behalf of their elderly clients, right? Restoration companies can't advocate on behalf. And some of these folks are on fixed income, so they can't afford an attorney to fight with their denial. How come there's nobody looking at the aspect of the elderly getting taken advantage by insurance companies because they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to filing a claim?
No, I mean, and think about the elderly folks that own their home outright. We talked about this on the last show, right? When you own your property outright, you still don't own it, right? Because you have to pay taxes on it. You have to pay insurance on it. You don't have to pay insurance, but most people still insure their asset because they want to make sure if they have a paid off asset, as a hurricane comes over, they can be reimbursed to rebuild their home, bring it back to pre-loss. So think about that. It's really not like I own this property. It's like, holy cow, like it's expensive to keep up a fully owned property at their age on a fixed income. And it is very expensive to live in Florida. And I don't know if it's all the New Yorkers moving down here that's messing that up. But we've now seen record of folks coming down to Florida, but in the same, you've seen Florida natives now move out of Florida because of how expensive it is to live here.
Well, first thing is I'm from New Jersey.
I wasn't pointing your way.
Well, you gave me one of those sideways glance, one of those like your dog does, like your dog does when you're walking by. You're like, what are you doing?
But as a contractor, if a contractor takes advantage of an elderly person, they face federal crimes for that. There's federal charges associated with taking advantage of the elderly. But an insurance company could come in, you pay them monthly, and then they deny a claim, which causes you to file bankruptcy on a fixed income. You have no leg to stand on. They've got way more money to fight it. And even if you hire a dapper young man like Hans, that money never gets paid back to you by the person that did you wrong.
And
if
you're elderly, they will drag out a case, the insurance company wills, and it's all listed in their book, delay, deny, defend. But that's one of their strategies. If they can elongate it out to where little Miss Mary, she didn't see her 96th birthday, it's like, oh, we were just about to pay, but... Well, give my condolences. Have a great day. Case closed.
You think they send flowers?
I mean, from a technology perspective, I have a high percentage of clients who don't even use email. Because you're right, most of my clients are probably 50, 55, 60 or older. I had a lady who was 90 recently. A couple of people who were 90 actually, but a lot of them
sent you an email through AOL.
A lot of, I was looking at her MySpace page.
Carrier pigeon.
And you have the older thing to know what MySpace is. If anyone who laughs at MySpace, I'm like, you're older than you think, my friend. But yeah, a lot of people don't have email. So if you think about it, they don't have email, and they get a 7-page letter from some insurer full of legalese, full of policy provisions. They're just cut and paste, and they're just going to be like, no, I'm not doing anything about that. Put it in a drawer. I mean, they can call me, and I'll help them. But so many people, like you say, they just get it. They're scared of the terminology, scared of the technology, not sure what to do, where to turn, and we can still help all these people. And they just put the letter in a drawer and say, we'll deal with it next year, or we won't deal. I had a lady today who said she has wet rot in her roof, in her decking, and wet rot in her trusses. We had mediation today, and she said, I'm just going to wait another year. I'm like, lady, you have wet, not dry rot, wet rot. Your roof your decking's wet, and your trusses, the things that hold up your roof, are rotten. I said, this isn't getting better in a year. You call me in 12 months, you're going to call me because your truss fell in and killed someone, or you in your house. But literally, she was like, I don't want to deal with this.
I'll just wait till the next storm, till it just blows it down.
Yeah, and that's what she was going to do. And I said, ma'am, if you can't find new, I mean, it was just a mess. But I had a lady who said, with ongoing leaking into her house, she said, I'll just leave it alone for a year.
Well, and this is what drives me crazy on an insurance company. Especially, I was at a commercial property today, 35 buildings. It was affected by 2 major storms. Well, the insurance company came out, fully denied the first one. So no, the stucco was like that before that, even though it was just installed a few years before that. It was perfect and pristine. After the storm, it was broken in many places. There was cracks in the stucco. There was water intrusion in 160 units out of 390 units. But they're like, no, that didn't happen from the storm. Definitely didn't. And then another storm came by and racked the roof, and there was a bunch of roof leaks. Everybody's got stains in the roof. So they said, well, you know what? We're denying this one too because of construction defect. And we're like, but it held up from the first storm and didn't leak. But then okay, whatever. But what? And so my question is like, why did you take the premium if you're not going to pay the claim, right? Why are you saying now that I'm not going to cover it? We shouldn't have covered it, as a matter of fact, because it wasn't installed correctly. We never should have taken your money, and now we're going to deny your claim. And so I asked then, well, then will you just give me my money back then, since you shouldn't have taken it? Well, no, we're
keeping it.
We're not going to.
You get nothing.
Exactly.
So we were there with that adjustment today, and I was just like, well, why'd you take the money? Right, at this much of an asset, you're billing $500,000 to this property in premium every single year. You're not going to send somebody out to double check it. I have to get a 4-point inspection on WIDMIT for me to get a discount, but you guys can't check your asset out beforehand. But just know, if you're in that situation, there's no post-loss underwriting. There's no crying in baseball. There's no post-loss underwriting. Should be happening in insurance world. So make sure you call Hans Kennon to fight your insurance claim. More, of course, here at Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thank you, Brad, for being on the show.
No worries.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.